Hi, it's Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today I've got the Kershaw Grinder. Let me give you the backstory before we get to the desktop review of this knife. This knife was a giveaway prize that I won from Joe at Wavester64, and it was a memorial giveaway to celebrate the life of Sean Roberts, who had SSR Knives and Guns channel and a fellow Canadian of mine, and he passed on in June. And Joe at Wavester64 wanted to do a giveaway to celebrate him, and this was the knife that he had in the giveaway, and I happened to win it. And now I've taken forever, a few months, to do my review on this knife. So if you're interested in all at the grinder, coming down with me to the desktop and let's take a good look at it. Here's Kershaw's Grinder. Speed safe assisted knife. You've got their nice K logo in the back of the blade handle here. Fiberglass reinforced handles, scales, at least that's what I believe they are. All the screws are Torx, and it feels really, really nice in the hand. I like it when knives have this sort of belly along with a bulge on the back. You know, thinner coming up and coming back. It's just a shape that fits just about everyone's hand. It's very comfortable, very normal, it just feels like it's fits the hand perfectly. Ergonomics on it are excellent. More knives should have this kind of thing. It's got this little sort of a traction detail. You know, it makes it look good, but it also adds a lot of grip to the knife without really creating hot spots, except for on the liner lock release right there. It's a little bit too proud of the rest of the handle for me, sticking out a little bit too far. And so when I'm holding it hard and using it, I get a little bit of hot spots right across my index finger and a little bit into my middle finger, because that jimped area of the liner lock release there is quite long, and it impacts both of those fingers. This is the classic grip that I use when I use this knife, and it works really well. This knife is 100% belly because of that nice curve. It's got that sort of clip point. It looks like a reverse tanto. It's just a regular clip point. A nice jimped spine of the blade over there. The jimping doesn't really do anything because most of the time my hand really doesn't go over it very much. And it's this wider section at the head of the frame that I'm using to hold on to. It works very well in either the left or right hand as far as how well it holds and its grippiness. And even though it's an assisted knife, I can still close it with my left hand. I just have to do those extra steps of first releasing the lock, pushing it up a little bit with my finger, grabbing it with my thumb, back to the finger. It's kind of complicated. With the right hand, of course, it's a little bit smoother to do the whole step. Just sort of release and pull. But it works. Maybe it's just because my left hand's not quite used to it yet. I've done other videos where I've told you that I grew up left-handed, but having older brothers, I did everything right-handed, so I sort of have an ambidextrous relationship with knives. Before we get to the rest of the handle, let's talk a little bit more about this blade. It's a bead-blasted blade, made in China. Oh, I didn't bring my specs on. I think it's 8CR13 MOV. I'll double check and put it here at the bottom of the screen. As I said, it's got their speed safe spring in there. It's got the number 1319 on it with their patented logo, made in China. Nice knife. Let's look at the size here. We've got a blade that has a cutting edge of 3 3/8 inches. The whole blade itself would be said to have 3¼ if you measure it from the shortest distance to the tip. Kind of unique that way, that the blade's longer than it is from the frame to the tip. But if you go across the bottom and measure it up, now you've got 3¾ So it really depends on where you measure from. Like I said, it's all belly, which makes it really, really nice. I wish there was a little sharpener's choil. You already see that there's a little bit of it's just messy where the knife comes to an end with the sharpened area. This side is a little bit different from the other side. It just kind of looks odd. I really wish they would have put a sharpener's choil in there. It makes a world of difference. Not really in the function, but just really in the looks. The one that I got from Joe is slightly, well, it's not a misgrind in the sense that the grind doesn't meet in the middle, but the grind goes higher up the blade at the heel than it does at the toe. You see how it just barely is ground, less than 1 millimeter there. And over here, it's 1.5 millimeters that it goes up from the side of the blade to the final grind. I'm not sure what's up with that, except for that I guess the blade gets thicker slowly at the back than it does at the front. It's got a very sharp point there. That point is not terribly strong. I wouldn't use it to pry anything, that's for sure. But it passed my test stabbing it into wood and just pulling it back out. And so the blade is like almost a full flat grind. There's a little bit of a flat area at the top of the blade here where it doesn't meet, where the grind doesn't go all the way to the end. That you can sort of see there, round it over. Let's talk about how well the thing works, because I think I've mentioned everything else. Oh no, let's do the clip before we do the tests. Nice deep carry clip, but the only option is for tip down carry. But it's absolutely deep. I guess you can say there's just a tiny bit of the end of the knife right there that's going to show in your pocket, but I don't really think so. Being black and having this sort of matte finish. The finish is that plastic kind of finish that almost looks like it was bead blasted as well. Of course it wasn't, but it gives you that kind of texture. So you have right and left tip down carry, and that works fine for me. I really don't mind tip down at all. So let's do some tests on this thing. Is the fine cutting really good on this knife or not? Well, let's see. Get some paper in here. Oh, I came up to the end where that sharpener's choil would have been, so that didn't work too good. Sort of a push cut all the way through. Oh, let's get on the screen. So if the nice slow cuts, whoops, I'm bouncing the camera around. If the nice slow cuts do something smooth like that and a slow push cut, you know that this blade is really sharp for the fine stuff. Let's see how it works for something like paracord. Let's go like this. Let's double it up, and then let's quadruple it up. It's a little harder to hold, but I don't like wasting a lot, so I just fold it really small. Okay, there, it's quadrupled up, and let's cut. Right through 4 times. No problem whatsoever. I barely felt any resistance. Let's do some cable. This is cable from a computer mouse. No problem at all. Let's try something a little more substantial. Here's some belt, some webbing. It's an inch belt, 1.5 wide, thick belt, thicker than a seat belt in a car. And see that? Right through first shot, no problem at all. So the blade does take a really good edge. I don't know if Joe sharpened this or not. I suspect he did not. If you want to comment, Joe, and let me know or not if you sharpened this knife before you sent it to me. I seriously doubt it. I think you sent it to me in brand new condition. This is a good knife. I like it. I carry it a fair bit. It's not too heavy. What do we got? We've got 4.4 ounces, 124 grams. 4.4 ounces isn't bad for a knife this size. You get your over 3-inch blade, like I said earlier. The flat grind does really good at slicing. The clip point here makes it really good for stabbing into something if you need to. The assisted makes sure that it'll open every time with authority, no problem at all. My dog wants to come up here and see what I'm doing. Hey, Bandit, how are you? Good boy. So here's the Kershaw Grinder. It was sad to see you go, Sean, but we'll remember you, and thank you to Joe for doing this giveaway. The Kershaw Grinder. If you like this video, please hit the like in the bottom right-hand corner. If you want to share it with somebody, hit that share on the side, and please comment. I appreciate the comments an awful lot. That's the best part of having a YouTube channel, is having comments to read and reply to and build a community of friends. Knife people, to me, seem to be some of the best people out there. And if I've earned it, please subscribe. But remember, always, when you're using a cutting edge, cut towards your chum and not your thumb. Bye now.